Economy. Economic indicators. GDP, PPP. $1.254 trillion, 2019. GDP, nominal. $284.2 billion, 2019. Real GDP growth. 3.29%, 2019. CPI inflation. 10.3%, 2019. Unemployment. 5.7%, 2018. Labor force participation rate. 48.9%, 2018. Total public debt. $106 billion, 2019. National wealth. $465 billion, 2019. The economy of Pakistan is the 23rd largest in the world in terms of purchasing power parity, PPP, and 42nd largest in terms of nominal gross domestic product. Economists estimate that Pakistan was part of the wealthiest region of the world throughout the first millennium CE, with the largest economy by GDP. This advantage was lost in the 18th century as other regions such as China and Western Europe edged forward. Pakistan is considered a developing country and is one of the next 11, a group of 11 countries that, along with the BRICS, have a high potential to become the world's largest economies in the 21st century. In recent years, after decades of social instability, as of 2013, serious deficiencies in macro management and unbalanced macroeconomics in basic services such as rail transportation and electrical energy generation have developed. The economy is considered to be semi-industrialized, with centers of growth along the Indus River. The diversified economies of Karachi and Punjab's urban centers coexist with less developed areas in other parts of the country, particularly in Balochistan. According to the Economic Complexity Index, Pakistan is the 67th largest export economy in the world and the 106th most complex economy. During the fiscal year 2015-16, Pakistan's exports stood at $20.81 billion and imports at $44.76 billion, resulting in a negative trade balance of $23.96 billion. Pakistan. As of 2019, Pakistan's estimated nominal GDP is $284.2 billion. The GDP by PPP is $1.254 trillion. The estimated nominal per capita GDP is $1,388. The GDP, PPP/capita is $6,016. International dollars. According to the World Bank, Pakistan has important strategic endowments and development potential. The increasing proportion of Pakistan's youth provides the country with both a potential demographic dividend and a challenge to provide adequate services and employment. 21.04% of the population live below the international poverty line of $1.25 a day. The unemployment rate among the aged 15 and over population is 5.5%. Pakistan has an estimated 40 million middle-class citizens, projected to increase to 100 million by 2050. A 2015 report published by the World Bank ranked Pakistan's economy at 24th largest in the world by purchasing power and 41st largest in absolute terms. It is South Asia's second largest economy, representing about 15.0% of regional GDP. Fiscal year. GDP growth. Inflation rate. 2013-14. Increase 4.05%. 108.6%. 2014-15. Increase 4.06%. 104.5%. 2015-16. Increase 4.56%. 102.9%. 2016-17. Increase 5.37%. 104.2%. 2017-18. Increase 5.79%. 103.8%. Pakistan's economic growth since its inception has been varied. It has been slow during periods of democratic transition, but robust during the 3 periods of martial law, although the foundation for sustainable and equitable growth was not formed. The early to middle 2000s was a period of rapid economic reforms. The government raised development spending, which reduced poverty levels by 10% and increased GDP by 3%. The economy cooled again from 2007. Inflation reached 25.0% in 2008, and Pakistan had to depend on a fiscal policy backed by the International Monetary Fund to avoid possible bankruptcy. A year later, the Asian Development Bank reported that Pakistan's economic crisis was easing. The inflation rate for the fiscal year 2010-11 was 14.1%. Since 2013, as part of an International Monetary Fund program, Pakistan's economic growth has picked up. In 2014, Goldman Sachs predicted that Pakistan's economy would grow 15 times in the next 35 years to become the 18th largest economy in the world by 2050. In his 2016 book, The Rise and Fall of Nations, Ruchir Sharma termed Pakistan's economy as at a takeoff stage, and the future outlook until 2020 has been termed very good. Sharma termed it possible to transform Pakistan from a low-income to a middle-income country during the next 5 years. Share of world GDP, PPP. Year share. 1980 0.54%. 1990 0.72%. 2000 0.74%. 2010 0.79%. 2017 0.83%. Pakistan is one of the largest producers of natural commodities, and its labor market is the 10th largest in the world. The 7 million-strong Pakistani diaspora contributed $19.9 billion to the economy in 2015-16. The major source countries of remittances to Pakistan are the UAE, the United States, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and Oman, Australia, Canada, Japan, the United Kingdom, Norway, and Switzerland. According to the World Trade Organization, Pakistan's share of overall world exports is declining. It contributed only 0.13% in 2007. Agriculture and primary sector. Surface mining ensigned. Pakistan has been termed the Saudi Arabia of coal by Forbes. Main articles: agriculture in Pakistan, fuel extraction in Pakistan, and mining in Pakistan. The structure of the Pakistani economy has changed from a mainly agricultural to a strong service base. Agriculture as of 2015 accounts for only 20.9% of the GDP. Even so, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, Pakistan produced 21,591,400 metric tons of wheat in 2005, more than all of Africa, 20,304,585 metric tons, and nearly as much as all of South America, 24,557,784 metric tons. 309. Majority of the population, directly or indirectly, is dependent on this sector. It accounts for 43.5% of employed labor force and is the largest source of foreign exchange earnings. A large portion of the country's manufactured exports is dependent on raw materials such as cotton and hides that are part of the agriculture sector, while supply shortages and market disruptions in farm products do push up inflationary pressures. The country is also the 5th largest producer of cotton, with cotton production of 14 million bales from a modest beginning of 1.7 million bales in the early 1950s, is self-sufficient in sugarcane, and is the 4th largest producer in the world of milk. Land and water resources have not risen proportionately, but the increases have taken place mainly due to gains in labor and agriculture productivity. The major breakthrough in crop production took place in the late 1960s and 1970s due to the Green Revolution that made a significant contribution to land and yield increases of wheat and rice. Private tube wells led to a 50% increase in the cropping intensity, which was augmented by tractor cultivation. While the tube wells raised crop yields by 50%, the high-yielding varieties, hives, of wheat and rice led to a 50 to 60% higher yield. Meat industry accounts for 1.4% of overall GDP. Pakistan's industrial sector accounts for about 20.3% of the GDP, and is dominated by small and medium-sized enterprises. Industry is the second largest sector of the economy, accounting for 19.74% of gross domestic product, GDP, and 24% of total employment. Large-scale manufacturing, LSM, at 12.2% of GDP, dominates the overall sector, accounting for 66% of the sectoral share, followed by small-scale manufacturing, which accounts for 4.9% of total GDP. Pakistan's cement industry is also fast-growing mainly because of demand from Afghanistan and from the domestic real estate sector. In 2013, Pakistan exported 7,708,557 metric tons of cement. Pakistan has an installed capacity of 44,768,250 metric tons of cement and 42,636,428 metric tons of clinker. In 2012 and 2013, the cement industry in Pakistan became the most profitable sector of the economy. The textile industry has a pivotal position in the manufacturing sector of Pakistan. In Asia, Pakistan is the eighth largest exporter of textile products, contributing 9.5% to the GDP and providing employment to around 15 million people, some 30% of the 49 million people in the workforce. Pakistan is the fourth largest producer of cotton with the third largest spinning capacity in Asia after China and India, contributing 5% to the global spinning capacity. China is the second largest buyer of Pakistani textiles, importing $1.527 billion of textiles last fiscal. Unlike the US, where mostly value-added textiles are imported, China buys only cotton yarn and cotton fabric from Pakistan. In 2012, Pakistani textile products accounted for 3.3% or $1.07 billion of all UK textile imports, 12.4% or $4.61 billion of total Chinese textile imports, 3.0% of all US textile imports, $2,980 million, 1.6% of total German textile imports, $880 million, and 0.7% of total Indian textile imports, $888 million. Rising skyline of Karachi with several under-construction skyscrapers. The services sector makes up 58.8% of GDP and has emerged as the main driver of economic growth. Pakistani society, like other developing countries, is a consumption-oriented society, having a high marginal propensity to consume. The growth rate of services sector is higher than the growth rate of agriculture and industrial sector. Services sector accounts for 54% of GDP in 2014 and little over one-third of total employment. Services sector has strong linkages with other sectors of economy. It provides essential inputs to agriculture sector and manufacturing sector. Pakistan's IT sector is regarded as among the fastest growing sectors in Pakistan. The World Economic Forum, assessing the development of information and communication technology in the country, ranked Pakistan 110th among 139 countries on the Networked Readiness Index 2016. As of May 2020, Pakistan has about 82 million Internet users, making it the ninth largest population of Internet users in the world. The current growth rate and employment trend indicate that Pakistan's information communication technology (ICT) industry will exceed the $10 billion mark by 2020. The sector employs 12,000 and counts among top 5 freelancing nations. The country has also improved its export performance in telecom, computer and information services, as the share of their exports surged from 8.2 PC in 2005 to 06 to 12.6 PC in 2012 to 13. This growth is much better than that of China, whose share in services exports was 3 PC and 7.7 PC for the same period respectively. Tourism. Tourism in Pakistan. Lake Saif-ul Muluk, located at the northern end of the Ken Valley, near the town of Naran in the Saif-ul Muluk National Park. Badshah-e Mosque was commissioned by the Mughals in 1671. It is listed as a World Heritage Site. With its diverse cultures, people, and landscapes, Pakistan attracted around 6.6 million foreign tourists in 2018, which represented a significant decline since the 1970s when the country received unprecedented numbers of foreign tourists due to the popular Hippie Trail. The trail attracted thousands of Europeans and Americans in the 1960s and 1970s who traveled via land through Turkey and Iran into India through Pakistan. The main destinations of choice for these tourists were the Khyber Pass, Peshawar, Karachi, Lahore, Swat, and Rawalpindi. The numbers following the trail declined after the Iranian Revolution and the Soviet-Afghan War. Pakistan's tourist attractions range from the mangroves in the south to the Himalayan hill stations in the northeast. The country's tourist destinations range from the Buddhist ruins of Takti and Taxila, to the 5,000-year-old cities of the Indus Valley civilization such as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Pakistan is home to several mountain peaks over 7,000 meters, 23,000 feet. The northern part of Pakistan has many old fortresses, examples of ancient architecture, and the Hunza and Chitral valleys, home to the small pre-Islamic Kalasha community claiming descent from Alexander the Great. Pakistan's cultural capital, Lahore, contains many examples of Mughal architecture such as the Badshah-e Masjid, the Shalimar Gardens, the Tomb of Jahangir, and the Lahore Fort. In October 2006, just 1 year after the 2005 Kashmir earthquake, The Guardian released what it described as the top 5 tourist sites in Pakistan in order to help the country's tourism industry. The 5 sites included Taxila, Lahore, the Karakoram Highway, Karimabad, and Lake Saif-ul Muluk. To promote Pakistan's unique cultural heritage, the government organizes various festivals throughout the year. In 2015, the World Economic Forum's Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Report ranked Pakistan 125 out of 141 countries,